Hello and welcome. I'm Marcus Freudenmann with another word definition. Today we're talking about emotional intelligence part 2. Have you ever wondered why some people are calm and focused while others are stressed, challenged and have less success? Well, I have, and I've gone through that whole process from one extreme to the other, and I thought I'd share that with you. Now, speaking of my own experience, when I start out a new business, something which is new, I have an extreme drive. It's energizing, it's exciting, it's fascinating, and I can shift mountains. It's been always that way, and I really love to start up new things. But once they were done, there was always like a big setback. I had forgotten advertising, marketing, financing, business, partners, all sorts of things that afterwards caused stress or frustration or depression, and things didn't move the way I wanted because blue-eyed as I was, I just started out very excited looking at only those things which I really liked. And I completely ignored the other side because that was not really my favorable area. So the swing had to go into the other side. Now, having experienced all sorts of setbacks and challenges on my path, I've grown into a more experienced person, and this in itself shows that a setback has a great benefit in itself. It's very powerful learning when you fall on your nose and you have to get back up and you have to bite through the difficulties. So that in itself shows that the difficulties weren't bad at all. They brought me huge experience. And that brings me back to the example. There is no one-sidedness. There is no single-sidedness. If we forget about the problems, and we have to learn about them, and we have to go through, and if we only look positive, think positive, and only look at the things we really like, we won't make it. It's very important. If there is no pain, no gain. And it's really something we need to incorporate at any level. Now, let us look at some examples which I usually like to show, and they simplify things very much. Now, having many clients, and it's like parents, when they come and they are in love, they don't listen. They don't hear a single word. You could talk to a wall. They just see the good, they smell good, they walk good, they cook well, they are strong, they are protective, they are so tender. It's like everything is only positive, and we all went through this state, but what everybody else said and what we just didn't want to hear from parents or from friends, there is another side to every person, and sometimes that is quite a challenging one. And after a certain time, we experience that, and if the pendulum swings to the other side, we might see only bad for a while, and if we stand it through, if we go through a little while longer and we fight our way through, we might come back to a positive side, and after a while it just swings into a stillness where we get on with each other and where we appreciate each other for who we are. Now, the same thing with a house. You start out your new house, or you want it, and you say, well, once I have it, I'll be very happy. I'll be all excited. But probably a lot of the bills, gardening, maintenance, insurance, weeding. I just went through the process of gardening and weeding, so that's a big portion of my resentment on the negative side. It's very important that you see all that list up front as well. It's quite a big burden to have a big property, and it's not only fun. It's usually a lot of work as well. Same thing, you start up a new business, or you start up with a new business partner, and well, he's got qualities. He's got stunning qualities to sell or to promote or to present or to do whatever. But, there is another side to everyone. And once you see that, and once you see the full-on chaos that they sometimes leave you behind, it's every benefit has a drawback. Now, a lot of people really say that neutral position is something very boring. And I wouldn't call it boring at all. And you can see in this screen, it's not about seeing only one thing. It's not like focusing on a goal and not seeing anything. It means to see both sides. We're not resentful and don't see the positive. And we're not infatuated and see only the bad. We see both at the same time, and this leaves us enough space for joy and sorrow. But we're not blind to the other side, and that's why we will achieve what we set out for. Now, true intelligence comes from knowing oneself, and know thyself has always been my main quote. It's everywhere in my office, it's all around the house. Know thyself, and it's all about self-study, which I really love to do. And that led me to the observation of the 7 areas of life. I don't want to go into why we use the 7. There is 7 areas, the 7 inner planets, the 7 colors of the rainbow. There is 1,000 references about the 7, and I just use it. I won't explain it in this context. But let's just say some of those areas are very strong. In my area, in my life, mental is very strong. I love to study, to travel, to learn, to visit seminars, courses, workshops, everything. I have a very strong spiritual dedication. I'm very faithful to achieve it. I have a strong life purpose. My vocational career and work area is very strong, developed. I love to work. I like to do it, and I put a lot of dedication into it. I'm very strong with my family life. We have 4 children and a very good marriage, great communication, and very good complementary energies. Social, well, I have a lot of clients all around the world, and I have a social recognition for what I do, so I'm very stable in these areas. But let's say there is areas which aren't as well developed. I rather spend my money, and I always did. Like if I like something, if I like a nice property or a beautiful big house, I rather spend it than invest it or have it sitting piled up in the bank. And physical, well, I am overweight and I'm sitting all day long behind my desk. Instead of doing sport and instead of walking and running, I rather enjoy making little videos. So in that respect, yes, there is a weakness to it. Okay, let's say financial department is not strong in my chart or is not strong in my life. And I meet a person who has only interest in money. They talk about money, they love the stock market, shares and whatever. And they really have their strongest empowerment in this area. Now, if I understand these values in myself and I know it's not mine, I can react like Tony Blair and just sit there and offend the other or get offended by their interest. Or I just go and learn from it. I just use this person. I say, well, it's a weak part in my life. He knows a lot. If I ask him, he's more than happy to share. So why not use him? It's not about getting offended, but it's about using those emotional expressions as a tool to learn about ourselves and about those around you. You've probably been to one of those parties where you were standing and everything went completely off track and they were talking about golf or car races or soccer or something that wasn't your interest at all. And you see, I've used sports. Boring and no interest at all. So I was yawning, trying to go home, and I really felt like not part of that whole group. And then I heard in another corner, I think one person whispering, talking about books and talking about reading and philosophy, and wow, do you think I was still yawning? I was awake all night and probably giving a talk. So understanding where our strengths are is the key and the start of this whole process. Once you know where you're at, what your likes, what your dislikes are, that's when emotional intelligence really starts to blossom.